everybody, and how are you all doing? The Six Nations is almost upon us, and so it's a good chance to have a quick look forwards to what we might see over the next 7 or so weeks, and also give my predictions for round one. If you want to tap the screen, do any hearts, or if you want to ask any questions or stuff, please feel free to do so. You can do it if you're watching on Periscope. If you're on YouTube, then use the comments below, and I will chat to you. I will reply to you. Cool. So what it is, I'll run through each of the teams, and we'll have a chat about that, and then I will run through have a quick chat about the games this weekend as well. So as was mentioned by the chief exec the other day, the Six Nations is inherently an unfair competition because you don't play each team home and away. You play. You have so many home games, 2 home games and 3 away games, and so you have hard seasons and less hard seasons. So we'll take that into account as we run through it. But essentially, the way I think we see the table is we have Italy at the bottom, which I think everyone is expecting. And we have a group of 3 teams that could really end up in any order, which is Scotland, France and Wales, depending on how they go. And then I think everyone is expecting the championship to be won by either Ireland or England at the top there. So I think it's sort of the table will break down into those 3 groups. So if we have a quick look at Italy, everyone's saying how they've improved, and it's people being harsh and unfair on them, and they all citing the South Africa win in November. But we've got to remember they actually went and lost to Tonga the next week when Perezi wasn't playing. So they are a very, very thin squad, and they're reliant on 1 or 2 players. And if those 2 players don't stand up and have great games, and everyone else have good games, they're just going to lose all their games. And I think they will probably lose all their games. Let's just run through what their schedule. So they get Wales at home, followed by Ireland at home. Then they travel to Twickenham to play England, host France, and finish off with what has been quite often in recent years, sort of wooden spoon decider away to Scotland. So I think, yes, it will probably go winless in this. Next up, let's talk about Scotland. So having a quick look at their schedule, they host Ireland, travel to France, host Wales, travel to England, and then host Italy. So with that in mind, they've got a couple of games at home where they will definitely be looking to get good results. They have had difficulty going to Paris previously, and Twickenham they'll be obviously looking to beat the old enemy. One of the problems with Scotland though is they have good Novembers, but seem to then step back in the spring, and I think that is going to be their biggest problem, is getting over this sort of flux and flow of their form that we've seen for many years now from them. So I think we are going to. So again, I don't think we're going to see as great a what do you call it? As great a performance as we're expecting from the November games from them, just because they're naturally how they do. And that's just probably down to the small pool of players that Scotland have, and the wear and tear the season takes on them. A lot of people have been talking about Vern Cotter leaving and thinking that this will lead to a drop in the players' performance. I don't really think so. You've got Townsend coming in, who all the players know very well, and the Scottish coaches that aren't going with Vern Cotter are heading off to Glasgow, I believe. So it's not like the entire coaching setup is disappearing. A lot of these guys will be playing with all 4 of these coaches in next season anyway. So I think Scotland will probably come in 5th, and because of that sort of flux and flow they have. Next we have Wales. A lot of people are down about Wales. They had a poor Six Nations, and they really have not moved on with the style of play, and they have been figured out. We've seen Jamie Roberts has now been dropped, so we're going to see a bit more ball getting wider, because he has been a bit of a bottleneck for that ball getting wide, so maybe we'll see something different out of them. If we have a quick look, run through their games, they start away at Italy, they then host England, which will be a massive game for them. They head up to Scotland, host Ireland, and then finish away in Paris. Having seen their November performance, I think they will be finishing down in 4th and could easily finish down in 5th if they struggle in that game up in Edinburgh. and Scotland don't have the drop in form I'm expecting to see from them through this time of year. Next up, France. France really impressed me in November with their style of play. Clearly, they have reverted back to a more traditional style of play rather than just trying to bash it up, and are much more competitive. For many years we've been saying that the old cliche of it depends on which French team turns up. Well, that hasn't been true, to be honest. The French have just been poor until November. So it's good to see a resurgence from them after about an 8-year lull. So they start off with a very hard task of coming to the reigning champions and the team that haven't been defeated, went undefeated last year, England. They then host Scotland, head over to Ireland, then go to Italy, to finally host Wales in that last game. So I'm expecting France to be much better, but I really think that they're still in the early stages of their new coaching regime, and so I can't see them upsetting either Ireland or England, but they should be able to be above the rest, especially as they're hosting Scotland rather than having to travel up to Murrayfield, and also hosting Wales. So they've got the two of their sort of most competitive games they get at home, so I think they will finish in third. Next up, we have, let's talk about Ireland. So Ireland's schedule, they have got Scotland, they travel to Scotland, they then travel to Italy before hosting France, going over to Cardiff in Wales, which has always been a big game for them, and then hosting England for what everyone has been looking forward to as being the championship decider since the end of November. And we're getting ahead of ourselves. There is still those 4 rounds to go, and it is a competitive season, especially as Ireland have got a couple of injuries, missing Sexton, and definitely for this first round at the very least. So Ireland are very good at targeting a game, as we saw against the All Blacks over in Chicago. And you got to wonder how much preparation will have been aimed at the final game, and will they slip on a banana skin on the way? They definitely could upset England in that last game, depending on how injuries will play a big part in that, and see who we've actually got left on the pitch. But I think the greatest fear before then will be that they have concentrated too much on that, and that they don't click for all the other games. Otherwise, I can't see them losing, especially as they've got France at home, which would be they've had problems going to Paris previously over the years, and then the Wales game with Wales being so poor, I think they should get through that as well. Finally, we come to England. England start off with France at home, travel to Wales, then host Italy and Scotland before finally travelling to Dublin to face Ireland. Here, England have got quite a lot of injuries, especially in the pack. They've got entirely the first choice back row is not there, with Haskell on the bench going into this first one. But I still don't see. I think the structures that Eddie's put in place and the way they're playing and the depth, I think we should be seeing England aiming for the Grand Slam again. The big game is clearly that last one, and one of their biggest things is not complacency, and to actually concentrate on each game as they go along. France, as I said, resurging in November will be a good, much tougher test than I think people are expecting. Wales under Howley last time this happened 4 years ago, obviously Howley got the win. He'll be reminding the team about that, and they'll be looking to put markers down for the Lions. Italy, I don't think will be a problem, and then Scotland, if they've had a good run of form, could be coming into that fourth game, thinking they've got a chance at things. So that could be a very difficult game. And then clearly we've got what many people have got down and say as the title decider at the end there. So it's shaping up to be a cracking tournament, but I do think we are looking at it being decided between England and Ireland at the top, then that group of 3 teams, which I think will finish France, Wales, Scotland, with then Italy at the bottom of the pile. So if we go into round 1, so we've got Scotland versus Ireland. I've put in my Super Brew predictions for Ireland to win by 5. England versus France, I think England will win by 7. And then Italy versus Wales, I've got Wales down by 10. So thank you everybody for watching. Please feel free to share this with all your friends, and have a tap on there for Love Hearts if you want to. It's all good fun. Thank you guys.